Hello, everyone, and welcome to Man City Fan TV. This is Kiam, and we're going to look at this week's Premier League predictions for match week 8. So this week I'm joined again by Martin and Ryan. So do you want to say hello, guys?
Hello.
Hello,
I've got the sniffles,
How are
but
you-
so if I sound weird,
How are you two reprobates doing this week, apart from the sniffles?
all right. I think I'm getting a job, so I think
Good.
I've kind of passed the interview stage.
Good, mate. Always good to hear it. And you, Martin, are you good, my friend?
I'm tummy tickling okay.
Lovely jubbly. Lovely
I'm not
jubbly.
as bad as I don't sound as down as I did on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you were a little bit depressive on Tuesday. I've got to say that was a bit depressive after that result. But I can understand why. The Champions League's a little bit of a anticlimax.
To be fair, in the group stages, you mostly know who's going through anyway, unless you get like some big group with 3 decent teams, and you know who's going to go through.
Yeah, exactly. Seeding is pretty much max fixing, isn't it? So, you know, everyone knows who's going through the group, so it's pretty pointless.
Yeah.
But we got the win, and it was a professional performance. So let's not grumble, because we've seen the days when we when we weren't winning quite as easily as we were the other night. So yeah. But anyway, let's get on with the Premier League predictions. It's the bread and butter. It's the one that matters. It's the Premier League. So we're going to go over to you, Martin, first of all, and I'm just going to ask you to run through your results for this weekend, if you will.
Right. I've got Brighton against Spurs. I've gone for a Brighton 2-1 win. Next one, I've gone Burnley at home to Everton. I've gone for an Everton away win 2-1. The Scousers against the surprise package, Leicester. Gone for a 2-2 draw. Then Norwich Villa. I've gone for a 3-1 home win for Norwich. And then over to just outside of London, Watford and Sheffield United. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. West Ham Crystal Palace. Gone for a West Ham home win 2-1. Arsenal Bournemouth. I've gone for a home win 3-1. Comfortable home win. Saints against Chelsea. I've gone for a 2-2 draw. Entertaining game. And then I've gone for the Magpies, the Toonami, 2-1 home win against them over the road. You know, are they Rochdale United?
Might as well be.
Yeah. And then us against Wolves, I've gone for a 3-1 home win.
Lovely jubbly. Thank you, Martin. So looking at that straight away, there's one that jumps out to me, which is Liverpool against Leicester. So you think Liverpool are going to drop points this week?
Yeah, I think I've said this ages and ages now. Liverpool are living on borrowed time at the moment. They really, really are. And reading a lot of other pundits, I know what they say doesn't really mean a lot anymore. But a lot of people think this is the game they're going to drop points in. Now, I'm probably going to end up with egg all over my face and they'll probably batter them 5-0. But I just think the way Leicester are playing at the minute, and Liverpool are not good at the back with this supposedly best centre back in the world they've got. I just think they're due to drop points. I do. I mean, you look at Wednesday night; they were 3-0 up and coasting. I know they won, but at Anfield, you know, the Fortress Anfield on European nights where no one can touch them, they struggled.
Yeah, and I remember last season Leicester was the game where they drew, didn't they, at home, and it like you say, it was a turning point. I think that was the game where I thought to myself, wait a minute, we could actually do this. We can get back into this title race. If they'd have won that game, they'd have pretty much had it sewn up, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was Leicester, Everton, and Newcastle, the teams outside the top 6, they dropped points against.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
Draws.
Yeah, I mean, they had a tough test in midweek, like you say, in the Champions League. So, yeah, interesting, Martin, 2-2. So another one there that stands out to me is you've gone for a Brighton victory against Spurs. So that's an interesting one, mate.
He's the Graham Potter fan. Brighton fan TV over here.
I'm telling you why, and this isn't because I think Brighton are playing great football, even though I do think they do. I'm telling you, Spurs are in free fall. They're in free fall. And people think, oh, they're going to react, getting beat 7-2 at home, they're going to react. I don't think they will. I think they're in free fall, and I think Pochettino, I don't think he's going to be there much longer. I think the players have stopped playing for him. I think he's lost the dressing room. I just think they're going to get beat.
Wow, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I look at Spurs and I think they've got all the tools. They've got the new stadium, obviously. You think that would be a bit of an inspiration to the players to pick up, but they have had a shocking start to the season. But like you say, maybe Pochettino's burnt himself out, or maybe he's looking at United for a move there.
I honestly think that
I don't know why you'd look at United.
Well, let's be honest here. Ever since he got linked to the job over the road, has he really done a lot? Has he done well? Not really. If you look at the results since, he hasn't done well. He got to the Champions League final. Well, yeah, they shouldn't have been there, but they got there. But it wasn't much of a competition,
Yeah.
They got there, they didn't put up a fight. I think he's at the ceiling with him. I think he's at the brick wall. I don't think he now knows, unless Lever unlocks the treasure chest for him and gives him the money that he needs and probably wants. I think he's burnt that squad out now.
Yeah,
you look at the squad, they want to leave. They want out the door.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that, Martin. I think at clubs, the biggest thing really is that winning mentality. And once you get that, and we know as City fans, when we were trying to qualify for the Champions League and we were all doubting, can we actually get in the Champions League? We managed to make it in there. Then it was, can we win the Premier League? Can we win a trophy? We did it. And as soon as you do that, you get that winning mentality as a club. And I think Spurs are lacking that. They really are, because they just don't seem to take the cup competition seriously, which would be a springboard for them to actually build something. So, yeah, I tend to agree. I think there definitely are issues at Spurs.
I just think that bereft of confidence. And like you say, winning breeds confidence. They ain't winning. They ain't winning. Doesn't matter who they're playing. If they're playing a lower league team, a middle of the table Premier League team, or a team in Europe, they can't buy a win.
Yeah. Another one that stands out for me here, Martin, is Southampton against Chelsea. So you've gone for Chelsea to drop points as well, which is interesting, mate.
Yeah, and maybe I'm one of the few who doesn't rate Lampard. Maybe I'm one of the few.
Scoring 2 goals.
Yeah,
Who scores goals for them?
I don't rate Chelsea's defence either.
I don't rate their defence, but Southampton scoring 2 goals. Who's getting 2 goals for Southampton?
Well,
maybe own goals.
Well, listen, I'm just thinking of it. Southampton, for some reason, I don't know why, they have a knack of never going down. I mean, I know they went down and they come back, but they're very rarely, when they are in trouble, they seem to get out of it.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it. They seem to switch a manager. They do something. They know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I think Lampard's very much like Ollie at the moment. I think they're living on the dream. They're living on this love affair that they're praying something's going to happen. And I don't know. I said it last week. I think Chelsea are going to finish just above mid-table this year.
Okay. So talking about Ollie there, you mentioned Ollie. And looking at your result just below this one, you've gone for a Newcastle 2-1 victory against United. So you don't think Ollie's going to get the wheel and stick it back on this weekend? You think it's still going to fall off and roll down the hill by the look of it?
Well, I did. I did think United were going to win. And then I listened to Ollie's press conference last night. And I don't know what game he's watching anymore. Because he seemed to think they played well last night. They didn't have a shot on target.
Yeah,
but they played well.
Yeah, I must admit, I had that on a second screen in my room, and I sort of had one eye on it, and it was absolutely dire what I saw.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think the true United fans are seeing Ollie for what he is. He's exactly the same manager that took Cardiff City down.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree.
People seem to think when he come into United, he was suddenly going to become this Alex Ferguson, replica and start doing it. You just look at his record against when he was manager of Cardiff. He took them down, and he had more than half a season to keep them up.
Yeah. I think the big thing at United is discipline, and the players clearly rule the dressing room at Manchester United. You've got big names in there. You've got Pogba, guys who are on big contracts in the dressing room. And if you have a dressing room like that, you need a strong manager, but it has to be a manager that's likable as well. Do you know what I mean? Like Pep's a strong manager, but he's a likable manager, so he can do it at City with the big names. Whereas they brought Jose in, but let's be honest, Jose could start an argument in an empty room. So they need to find that balance, don't they? It's just not there for them.
I don't understand how they go from Jose Mourinho part of the bus football to, if anyone actually watches it, United are now playing part of the bus football. There's nothing changed. And I know he had that 10-12 game spell where they won, but you look at the teams that they were playing, and the trouble is now they can't even beat those teams.
Yeah.
And also, I think they're playing the worst opponents they can. Newcastle got absolutely smashed last week. Do you think the Tsunami are going to allow that to happen again? Not a chance.
Yeah. The Tsunami will be up for it. It's going to be a difficult game for United, but. Enough about them. Let's move on to Manchester's one and only club. You've gone for a 3-1 victory to City against Wolves. So what's you thinking behind that, mate?
Wolves are European Europa League this week, away in Turkey, like you say. They've won. Great result. They'll be on a high. I think we're going to have too much for them. I don't think it'll be the most entertaining game in the world. I am a little bit worried with the midfield, what he's going to put out. I'd love to see Foden in. I would love for Foden to get his chance this weekend, and I hope he does. But I'm just worried about, and they've got, it's not please don't think this is an Ilkay Gundogan, scapegoat thing. It's gone from Mahrez to Gundogan. No, it's if you know anything about football, and even if you don't know anything about football, you can see that midfielder, Rodri, David Silva and Gundogan does not work. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
but the problem
very
is
slow.
We haven't got many other options to throw in at the minute.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we're playing Fernandinho. His legs are getting a little bit older, but he's still very quick. Over a short burst.
Yeah,
and he's covering that centre back, isn't he? So we've lost that in the middle.
I think we're lucky. As Pep said today, I think we're lucky that Fernandinho didn't start the season for the first 3 or 4 games. He's still got the energy in the legs right now. I think he'd have started the season, I think then we'd be struggling. But I think at the moment, he's still got the energy.
Yeah. All right then, Martin. So thank you for your score predictions. Let's move on. We're going to go to you, Ryan. And if you want to run through your score predictions for this week, mate, that'll be great.
Right, so my predictions this weekend, I've gone Brighton 0, Tottenham 2, Burnley 2, Everton 0, Liverpool 2, Leicester 1, Norwich 2, Aston Villa 0, Watford 0, Sheffield United 1, West Ham 3, Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2, Man City 1, Wolves 0, Southampton 1, Chelsea 3, and Newcastle Man United as a 1-1 draw.
Okay, so straight away then I can see for the Brighton Spurs game, you've gone for a Spurs victory, so you don't think Brighton are going to have much of a chance in that game, unlike mine.
No, I don't really rate Brighton that much. As I said last week, Potter won his first game and hasn't really done a lot since. I think Tottenham they still have the quality to beat teams like Brighton. They beat Southampton last week with 10 men, which I thought was... They fought it out. I don't think it was a great performance, but they fought it out. I think they could probably do that again against a team like Brighton.
Okay. Well, there's an interesting one there as well. You've dropped in, Ryan. Everton to lose at Burnley.
Yeah, that was one of the. I thought you picked up on most of Martin's games, but you didn't pick up on the Everton win. Everton their away form has been horrendous so far this season. I think Cal's mentioned that on multiple occasions. When they go away from home, they just crumble, especially against teams that sit back and defend in big groups like Burnley will. Away from home, they struggle massively. They can't seem to play through a team, and they're much better at like catching a good team on the counter and getting like last week we weren't solid defensively, and they created a lot of chances. Edison kept us in the game. Burnley are going to be very tight defensively. We'll probably park the bus for a good 70 odd minutes of that game, and they've got the power up front with Wood and Barnes to get goals. I think we'll probably edge it 2-0.
Okay, interesting. I mean, Martin, went the other way. You went for a 2-1 Everton win. So yeah, it's interesting that you're thinking that way, mate. You've gone for a Liverpool win, so that's pretty standard. I think the Liverpool one there, mate. You don't see any dramas.
I mean, it'll be drama. I think it'll be similar to the game last week, but with more goals because it's two more. Well, Leicester are a better team than Sheffield United, so I think they'll get a goal, but I think Liverpool still have the quality to get past them. But I think it'll still be tight.
Okay, so the big one that jumped off the page to me when you gave me these results, I must admit, is the Arsenal defeat. They're going to lose 2-1 to Bournemouth at home, according to you, Ryan. What's your thinking behind that result, mate?
Arsenal aren't very good defensively. They conceded 2 goals to Villa at their last home game. They're not so good defensively. Bournemouth are good offensively. I like the way they play. I think they can easily get at this Arsenal team.
Did Arsenal get a clean sheet in Europe this week? I believe they did.
Yeah, they won 4-0 against Standard Liège.
Yeah, and they beat Nottingham Forest last week, kept a clean sheet. So there's been a couple of clean sheets in there. Clean sheet against United.
Sorry, it's 1-0, wasn't it? No, they conceded 1 against United and probably should have conceded a penalty as well, I think.
Yeah. So in the Premier League, that little step up seems to be difficult.
Yeah, well, I think in Europe they've been playing a youth team anyway, and it's the Europa League. They're playing a much lower standard of opponents. Like, I think Bournemouth would be beating Standard Liège.
Hey, don't tell Ollie that, mate. It's a great standard.
Well, yeah, it was a great result getting a 0-0 draw with AZ Alkmaar with 0 shots on target.
Yeah.
So it's a very good away from home result.
Who do you think is going to do the damage then for Bournemouth? Do you think it's going to be the pace that undoes Arsenal's defence?
I think the pace could definitely do a lot because I don't. Obviously, the main men will be Wilson up front, Wilson in midfield, and Josh King. I think Callum Wilson, the striker, will get a goal. And if they get set pieces, Harry Wilson's always going to be a threat. You saw the free kick he scored against us a month ago or so. He's great at set pieces, and I'm pretty sure he can do them with either foot or something like that.
Okay. So it's interesting, Ryan. I mean, I must admit, Bournemouth to beat Arsenal at home, I'm not so sure about that, but I hope it happens.
That's my out there prediction. I always like to have at least an out there prediction.
I'll tell you, I'm starting to think Ryan's the Eddie Howe fan TV over there now.
Yeah, I'm definitely the Bournemouth fan TV. You're the Brighton one. I'm the Bournemouth one.
There's something about the South Coast that you guys seem to love. Don't know what it is.
I just don't see them keeping Aubameyang quiet. I think Aubameyang will have a field day.
Well, no, I think that he'll get a goal. Maybe that's what I've given them a goal. I'm being nice.
Yeah. Well, one good thing, we can all watch Arsenal fan TV and laugh if your result comes in, Ryan.
Exactly.
And it's always good banter. So, yeah, can't complain there. The Chelsea game
above them in the league.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they will. I think they are. Yeah, they'll go above them. I think they are above them actually. Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, I think, or is it Bournemouth and not Crystal Palace? Bournemouth and West Ham are both in the top 6 or something. I
Yeah,
think.
well, true. Yeah,
Premier League.
on form.
Actually, never mind. Bournemouth are 8th, but they're only 1 point behind Arsenal.
I was going to say
Same goal difference.
Arsenal are 4th. Yeah, so Bournemouth can go above them though. Yeah, so that's a good point. It's pretty tight there, isn't it? In that sort of.
Yep. They're 1 point behind. Same points as Chelsea, Spurs. 1 point behind West Ham and Arsenal.
Okay, then. So moving on, we're going to look at the Chelsea game. There, you've gone for a pretty convincing 3-1 victory at Southampton. You don't see any problems like Martin sees for Chelsea?
No, I think they're weak defensively, which is why I've given Crystal Palace a goal. I don't exactly know who will score that, because I don't think they have anyone that's good offensively. I mean, they have Danny Ings, but I think both his goals in 2019, I think he's got 2 since December, and they're both from goalkeeper mistakes. The one against Liverpool, that's Adrian being crap. Last week, Lloris trying to do a Cruyff turn in his 6-yard box. I don't rate him as a striker. They have James Ward-Prowse who can score a free kick, but other than that, what do they really have offensively? Vestergaard from a corner. He's a big lad. But
okay, so has scored 4 goals apparently. Just looking at it.
4 goals.
So it sounds like your South Coast loving has ended with Southampton.
I think if they were playing a lower down the table team, I think they'd have a chance of getting like a 1-0 win. I think they've got 2 1-0 wins so far this season or something like that.
Yeah, interesting. And I mean, I could see what you're saying. Southampton, they've not really done it for me. Every game I've watched them, they've been pretty average. They don't seem to create that much. And
I think Chelsea are so good offensive. Well, they're entertaining offensively, and they seem to get the chances. I think what was it? They had around 20 chances by half-time last week against Brighton, who had 0.
Okay. So let's move on then. Let's have a look at the Newcastle-Manchester United fixture. Martin went for a 2-1 Newcastle victory, so he thinks that the wheels are going to fall off. You think Ollie might just rescue a point at Newcastle?
I think he's got too much faith in a Newcastle side that are just too bad. I think Newcastle are pretty much doomed to going down. I think they'll probably have enough to nick a point at home against United, who have been, no away wins in 10. They drew against Huddersfield last season away from home. Yeah. In that run, I think United will probably get a goal, penalty, not a Rashford free kick. He's probably going to score a free kick now.
I think the last time United won an away game, I think I could fit into a Puma kit. That's how long ago it was.
Well, I mean, I think since they last won an away game, we've won Premier League, FA Cup, Community Shield. Yeah, Liverpool have won the Champions League and the Community Shield of Europe's called Copa Europe. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the European Carabao, as it's been referred to. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much faith, is it, at all around United at the moment.
I did think about going 1-0 United, but I thought, we'll give Newcastle a go. We'll let them nick a point.
Okay. So let's leave the Salford boys where they are and move on to Manchester's biggest club, best club, Manchester City, and 1-0 victory against Wolves.
And that was very close to being a 1-1 draw. Very close, but I thought I might get a bit of backlash if I went with 1-1, so I thought we'll have to go 1-0 because KDB's not going to play. I think Pep confirmed that in his conference this morning, which I watched around 10 minutes of, and then the stream just kind of randomly ended on the City YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, those streams, those press conferences, aren't they?
I try and catch them if I see the tweet and I'm awake, but it's like it just randomly cut off after around 10 minutes, and I was very confused because he was in the middle of talking, so I was like, yeah, that wasn't meant to happen. And then it just didn't come back, so I was like, okay. But I think Pep's been confirmed that he's not going to play. He's now got a red thing on the fantasy team, so I can take him out. So you know exactly what midfield he's going to play. He's probably not going to play Bernardo Silva. So you know we're going to play midfield three, Rodri and DM, David Silva and not Fernandinho and Gundogan. So we're going to have no pace in midfield, and I think against Wolves, a team like Wolves can easily exploit that. So that was why I like that midfield. The midfield that got exposed by Norwich, I think it never works, never really has. So I think it was a silly. I hope we play Bernardo, even though he's not been in the best of form. Although we say that he's got around 3 goals or something, 3 goals and an assist in his last month.
Do you not think though, Ryan, that even though our midfield may be a little bit on the slow side because we're missing certain players, do you not think that Wolves having that difficult midweek away game in Turkey might just balance that out a little bit?
I think it might balance it out, but then we'd also have the problem of our defence. Because we don't know, we don't know what left back he'll play, because he has 3 that he could now choose from. And last week he went for Zinchenko, who I thought had a horrendous game. Probably going to go with Walker. It'll probably be Otamendi and Fernandinho again. But obviously last week against Everton, that defence didn't look solid at all, and Edison bailed us out of that game. I think we'd have lost it if we had it without him.
Yeah, I think it does look shaky at times.
Yeah. I think there's always the chance that we will just outscore them, but I think against Wolves, it seems to always be a very tight game. We drew last season. I don't remember what the other leg was. Well, the other match against them was in the league, other than the one that they got the handball goal. We drew against them in the cup, and that went to penalties. And like a couple of occasions, we drew with them in pre-season. It's always a very tight game against Bournemouth, against Wolves, and it's never that high scoring. So I think 1-0 or 1-1, but I've gone with 1-0 just to be. City.
Superb. Okay, well, thank you, Ryan, for those predictions, mate. I'm going to run over to my predictions now, and I'm going to just read them out. I've got Brighton to lose 2-0 to Spurs, so same as Ryan on that one. And then I've got a Burnley-Everton 1-1 draw. I've got Liverpool to beat Leicester 2-0. I've got Norwich to beat Aston Villa 2-1. I've gone for Watford to win comfortably at home 2-0 against Sheffield United. I've gone for a West Ham 2-1 win against Crystal Palace. I've gone for an Arsenal 3-1 home win against Bournemouth. I've gone for a comfortable Chelsea away win at Southampton, 2-0. And then here we go, drum roll, Ollie's at the wheel. He's going to somehow park the bus and scrape a 1-0 win, and it's probably going to be some dodgy free kick or something, but a 1-0 win to United. And then City against Wolves, I tend to agree it's going to be a very tight game. I think it's going to be a nervy one, but I think we'll nick it late on in the game and we'll win 2-1. So, any of those that stand out to you guys?
Definitely the Watford one. Watford getting two goals and winning. I think Sheffield United are very they've proved themselves to be very solid at the back, bar their goalkeeping mistake last game. I think I've gone for 1-0. I think they could I think Sheffield United will probably win that, and I think Martin, I don't see Watford scoring 2 goals. Martin
mentioned last week that he thinks Sheffield United may have just sort of come to the end of their honeymoon period, or it's about to end. And I tend to agree. I think this week could be the week that Watford step it up. They find the form. They're at home, and they turn it around. Because let's be honest, on paper and the players that they've got, Watford are a better team than Sheffield United. So I think this could be the bubble burst moment for Sheffield. What do you think about that, Martin?
I just think that I think a lot of people are obviously looking at the 8-0 and thinking, Watford. I mean, Watford are a poor team. They're a poor team. But I don't think Sheffield United are that great. I think the worst. Like you said, Watford on paper. And yeah, how many times have we said on paper? Football's never played on paper. But I just think Sheffield United, I honestly think out of the 3 promoted teams, I think they're going to be the first one down. I really do.
Really?
I agree with that, but I mean they've been running out with these little 1-0 wins. They don't concede a lot really. They're solid at the back. They got the 2-0 win away at Everton 2 weeks ago. They would have probably they looked like they were about to nick a point from Liverpool last game, but then obviously they had the goalkeeper howler. Obviously, I think the week before they only conceded 1 goal, but I do think that was against Southampton, so that was poor. The fight back against Chelsea, even though they conceded twice. They played Leicester, they only lost that by 1. Who else have they played? Beat Crystal Palace 1-0, which, based on this season, Crystal Palace have been quite good. Isn't that bad. I think, and they only conceded 1 to Bournemouth in a 1-1 draw the first game week. So they've not been conceding matches. Yeah, they were at home for that. Lost 2-1.
I find that promoted teams, though, when they come up, they do tend to, set up correctly, if you like. They seem to do well for a few weeks. They manage to keep organised, stay organised. But then the injuries start to creep in, the fatigue starts to creep in. And because they don't have the quality and the depth in the squad, you start to see them fall off. And I think we're getting to that period now where some of these might start falling away.
I also think the reality creeps in of where they really are. And like I said, I think for the first month, I think they're living on a honeymoon period. And now I honestly think the reality is going to bite on them now when they're going to realise they haven't got the squad, they haven't got the depth to do this. It's all right, not conceding, but they're still getting beat. They're not scoring either. They're not conceding. Totally agree with Ryan on that. They're not conceding a lot, but they're not scoring a lot either. And you've got to have a...
No, they're nicking like 1-0 wins and 1-0 draws. But they don't exactly have many injuries either. I think the only injury they have at the moment is McGoldrick. I'm looking on the FPL thing here for player availability, and the only person they have down is with an injury is Duffy, who's left, and McGoldrick, who's expected back at the end of this month.
I think with injuries though, sometimes
Billy Sharp's back from injury for this game apparently.
But you got to remember their top goals only scored. They've got like 5 players all on 1. They haven't got anybody who scored more than 1 goal this season.
Yeah, but then you need Watford to be getting multiple goals to. And can you see Watford getting multiple goals based on this season, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing with injuries as well, even if a player is said to be available, doesn't necessarily mean they're not carrying knocks. They haven't got issues with fatigue. They haven't picked up little injuries as they've moved along in the season. So yeah, they might be available, but these smaller squads tend to sort of patch players up and just put them out. And eventually in the Premier League, that catches up with you, I think.
I think it's going to bite November, December time and that big period. When that international break. Yeah. Because I think after this one, I think that's it until March time for international break.
Yeah, I think
we'll go strong then. And I think that's when Sheffield United, that's when it's going to bite them. And it sounds like we're ripping Chris Wilder and Sheffield United apart. I'm not. I think they're great as a club.
Yeah, you guys are. I'm sticking up for them.
No, I'm not ripping. I think I'm trying to be, in my eyes anyway, I'm trying to be a realist in the fact is I think Sheffield United...
I do think they'll catch up with them eventually, but I think they can have this week and maybe next week.
Oh, can I just say one thing to jump in? I want to apologise to Ryan. Danny Ings has got 4 goals. 2 of them were in the League Cup.
Yeah, League Cup. I thought there might be League Cup games.
That doesn't count.
Yeah. Who are they playing?
So let's move on. Let's have a look at the Arsenal game. I went for a 3-1 victory against Bournemouth. Ryan went for the 2-1 Bournemouth victory. I think Arsenal will blow them away, to be honest. I think Arsenal are actually playing quite well now. They've got into a bit of a rhythm. I think they were a little bit cowardly at Old Trafford last week. They should have gone there, tried to attack a little bit more. They gave United far too much respect and ended up, coming away with a draw. And even towards the end of that game, Arsenal were the ones who were pushing for the win. So I think
not at the end.
going to
at
be
the end, it
comfortable.
was completely united at the end of that game. I thought in the first half, Arsenal definitely looked on top, and then I think after they got their goal, they just sat back and defended for the majority of the end of the game. I thought
No,
Man United were well
yeah,
on top at
I
the
did
end.
quite. Yeah, I
I
did
think a
see
draw
that.
was fair, to be honest, by the end of it, because I thought Arsenal dominated the first half, should have probably gone in front, and then they got their goal to equalise, and they just went and sat back and accepted a
I think
draw.
the draw was a fair result, but I think sort of around the 80-minute mark, that sort of last 10 minutes, Arsenal strung a lot of moves together on the break, and they could have got a goal with a little bit more
On the
composure.
break, yeah, but I
Finish.
thought overall it was mostly United attacking by the end.
Yeah, United's attacks were more sort of forcing a corner, forcing a
Substantial.
set piece. Yeah, that kind of pressure. But I do think Arsenal are playing reasonable football. I'm not going to say good football because it's not good football yet.
No.
But I think they will pick up a win this weekend. So let's.
I totally
move on.
agree with you on there, Kiam, by the way. I think
Yeah.
Arsenal, sorry to jump in.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I think Arsenal up front, I think they're going to have far too much for Bournemouth. I think up front, and I think they found a little gem for the back line. I think Turner looks an absolute great buy for him, and if they can get him into that team on a consistent basis now, I think it'll only make him stronger at the back. And I think up front, I don't see Bournemouth dealing with their front line. I don't see them getting anywhere near Aubameyang. I can see Aubameyang getting an hat-trick this weekend.
Really? I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, he'll probably get on the score sheet. But like you say there about the left back, I also think they found an answer to the right back problem, because the right back problem was probably the biggest problem, because we were playing Maitland-Niles, and let's be honest, he's not been great at right back. But they've got Callum Chambers now stepping in.
Bellerin's back fit anyway. Bellerin played night. Well, he's not fully back fit. I think Chambers might start this weekend, or maybe until the international break. But after the international break, Bellerin will be back fully fit anyway. He started. I think he played 90 minutes in Standard Liège on yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, Arsenal just need to get through this period. For me, if they can get through this period, get a few players back and fit, then I think they can push on and really push the top four.
I think Arsenal are doing very clever there. They're in the top four, and I know it's tight there, but they're fourth in the league, and they've pretty much gone there unnoticed. Nobody's really.
People have been saying that. Emery out and everything.
Everyone's been going, they're awful at the back, they're this at the back, and they're a BMW up front and a Robin line at the back. And then you look at the league table, and you look at the way. You look at the results, they've done it so quietly, and so, because I think everyone's obviously looking at us and Liverpool and what Leicester are doing. Arsenal just seem to be coming in the back door very, very quietly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think Spurs are the ones who are dropping off. I mean, I've gone for a victory for them, but I agree with you. Spurs, out of the sort of top teams in the league, are the ones who look like they're in the biggest crisis, with obviously United at the moment. But then you go towards Arsenal and Chelsea, and I think those two clubs are starting to sort of rediscover their identity a little bit. I can just see little glimpses of things coming through, and I think if the fans are patient, then Chelsea and Arsenal might come out of this period with a very good side. I don't know if they're going to be quite up to sort of Liverpool and City standard, but I think they could have a couple of decent sides there in the making. But they've just got to be patient and get through this sort of period where it's going to be a little bit inconsistent, and just keep the faith.
The problem for Arsenal is I think they don't have any good attack in midfield. I think Ozil's pretty much past it at this point, at Arsenal at least. I think sure you could send him off to Turkey or something, even though I don't know what his situation is. I think it's something to do with Turkey or something like that, but that's a much different conversation anyway. But I think Ceballos, he looked good in the first couple of weeks in an attacking sense, and then he's been dropped for Lucas Torreira, a defensive midfielder, to play as a 10 for the last few weeks, which doesn't make any sense. And even then, they've only got him on loan.
Yeah, no,
so I think that could come back to bite them, the lack of creativity from midfield.
Possibly. I mean, we are approaching well, not approaching January, but you know what I mean. We're not a million miles
Approaching
away.
crunch season
So-
after like this international break.
Yeah, they might be able to pick somebody up in the transfer window to sort of help them out in that regard. So you know, it could.
They should probably be in for like a Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, possibly.
I get that it's Portugal, but his stats have stayed consistent from last year, because last year his stats were very good, and like his goals and assists, and this season they've stayed pretty high.
Yeah. Okay then. So those are my results for this week. Let's move on to the main man himself. It's Andy from Man City Fan TV. He sent his scores over, and I want to apologise because he sent them over last week, and I didn't include them in the video. So naughty me.
Fix.
I made sure I included them this week because
Martin,
completely slipped my mind.
just saying. We have he overtook me in the table as well. I'm not complaining. He's up to 18 points. I'm on 17, and you're down there on 12. But we won't talk about that.
Don't talk about the league table, lads. It makes me blush. You know what I mean? I get embarrassed.
Yes, okay. You have 30 points.
Yeah.
Second
No, it
place
actually
is
makes
second
Kiam-
20
it actually
with
makes
21.
It looks
get
makes
it.
Kiam looks like he knows what he's talking about as well.
Yeah, I know. I must admit though, my results this week, I picked them, and then I was like, I might
See,
change
you
that.
say that, but I didn't. The only thing I disagree with you majorly on is the Watford result for your predictions. I think we differ on like goals here and there, but I think mostly our predictions are pretty similar.
Yeah.
Other than the Watford game.
Okay, then. So let's have a look at Andy's results for this week because we don't want to miss him out again. And his results, he's gone for a Spurs 2-1 victory at Brighton. He's gone for a 1-1 Burnley versus Everton. He's gone for a Liverpool 2 apiece with Leicester. He's gone for a Norwich victory at home to Aston Villa. He's gone for a Watford victory 2-1 against Sheffield United. He's gone for a West Ham 2-1 victory against Crystal Palace. A lot of 2-1 home wins there. He's gone for an Arsenal 3-1 home win victory against Bournemouth. Southampton to lose 2-0 to Chelsea. Newcastle and United to draw 1 each. And he's gone for a convincing victory for Manchester City at home 4-1. So Andy doesn't have any fear about the Manchester City result. Do you think Andy's...
He does realise what midfield we're playing, right?
Yeah, I mean...
He hates that midfield.
You're very negative, you two, aren't you, on this City thing this week?
Still,
No,
but he hates the midfield, and you know that's the midfield we're going to play, Martin.
I'm going to stick up for Andy here, though. I mean, 4-1, that's what we've been doing to a lot of teams, haven't we? Let's be honest. You know, if City turn it on at home, we could do that at the drop of a hat, can't we? So I'm not going to...
The thing is, let's be honest, Ilkay Gundogan is not a bad player.
I never actually majorly slated Gundogan at any point.
No, I know you haven't. I'm just saying, but I think everyone's saying this midfield. You don't. Gundogan could just turn it on Sunday. You don't know, and he could become the player he was the back end of last season. We don't know. But I'm up there with Andy. I'm being positive. I nearly said I was up and down. I mean, I've changed my City score about 5 times. But yeah, I think we're quite comfortable on Sunday.
I think it's just the old pessimism is always there. I don't know. I always think
the only thing with City that I really complain about when I see a team the team being announced or everything, everyone goes mad on Twitter. Is why is he not starting? Why is he not starting? With the fullbacks especially. I've never complained about any of that. The only thing I ever complain about is the midfield 3. If it's Fernandinho, Silva and Gundogan, or Rodri, Silva, Gundogan, because I just don't... I agree with Andy that doesn't work. Even midweek, I thought, you were at the game midweek, Martin, and that game was very slow and I thought lacked a lot of creativity. I don't know who was on for the final 15 minutes when I woke up, because although that wasn't me being a bad fan, that was me kind of being ill. But when I woke up, I thought David Silva looked very good creatively in the last 15 minutes.
It changed. Sorry, Kim. It changed a little bit because
Mm.
But I can never take the Champions League group games
Well,
serious
yeah.
anymore. It's people. I know someone mentioned yesterday about the atmosphere being, was it
Oh,
as
the
fun as it
atmosphere
sounded?
sounded
It was
so
dead
bad.
because nobody's interested in them. And let's be honest, that the way they set up was to stop us doing anything.
Yeah,
and
they played
let's be
5 at the
honest,
back and just didn't
if
create do
they'd have
anything.
had shooting boots on, we'd have been 3-4 up in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was like playing a Manchester derby the way they set up. United do that, don't they, when they come to the Etihad? Just put every man behind the ball.
And the thing is, even with that midfield, Ilkay Gundogan didn't have a bad game on Wednesday night.
No, I did hear that he was like, well, I heard that he was average. Did some all right things, made some little mistakes, made some good passes here and there. But that's what happens in every game, really.
Don't get me wrong.
Obviously, he has good games and bad games.
I just hope Foden, and I've got a sneaky suspicion. I think Foden may play this weekend. I don't know why. I've just got a sneaky suspicion he will.
I think you might be right. I mean, I think Pep was not punishing him, but there was a few rumblings, wasn't there, about his game time that seemed to slip into the media. And I always believe there's no smoke without fire. So
last international break, wasn't it? That apparently some of the papers were saying that he'd come out and said that he was unhappy with his game time,
and we don't know that. We don't know if that was just paper talk or whether there was actually anything behind it. But the last few,
I know if it's true. Sorry to jump in. I actually know for a fact
it's true
on that one. Yeah, it's not true.
Okay. It's not true.
He was saying stuff, but he is more than happy. I can't tell you where I've got that from. I know I'm going to sound like
Martin's sauces. Ooh.
Yeah, it's not sauce.
Put that on the ticker bar.
Martin's dodgy sauces.
It's
dodgy sauces, Bowden. It's dodgy
He's
sauces, Bowden.
I have spoken to.
Okay, and it makes sense because recently, I mean, he put that tweet out as well. This is all that matters, or whatever it was, where he's holding his badge, kind of thing.
Yeah, the celebration against Dimino.
I think all of those things are going to help him get a place in the team because Pep loves all of that stuff. You saw it the other week with Garcia when Garcia was warming up and he went over and he's had a word with Pep and he told him about Watford's line-up at the back. Pep loves those little things that happen off the pitch. Pep is interested in all of those aspects of it. And if Foden's saying the right things, that's going to do him a lot more favours when it comes to getting a place in the team. So, I tend to agree. He might play this weekend. So,
I'm more shocked that everyone's gone for Chelsea 2-0 win.
I mean, this is coming from the man that said that they have Danny Ings up front. Half of his goals have come against 19th in League One Portsmouth with 2 wins all season.
I think you're all giving. I mean, I don't mean this to be awful. What are we saying? Tammy Abraham's a top quality striker.
I don't think he's a top quality striker, but I think he's in form at the moment. They also have Mason Mount, who's creating quite a lot. Williams seemed to have a little bit of a purple patch the last couple of weeks.
The minute their transfer ban gets lifted, Tammy Abraham's going back to the bench.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't disagree with that. I think you might see him again. I think eventually he'll get sold to probably a Southampton.
Well, I think he's a handful.
And he couldn't do it at Villa. So
I think he's a handful of a striker, though. I don't think he's top level. He's not going to come up with a goal in the Champions League final. But he's the kind of player that if you're a defender, he's awkward to play against. He's a bit gangly.
He's big. He's quite tall. He's got a bit of pace.
He's a younger version of Lukaku.
A younger version of, I don't know, I'm going to say Sean Goldberg is that kind of player. He's kind of like a player where the ball will just hit him and come off him and he'll get the goals. It's not graceful.
I feel really bad for Lukaku. He gets so much stick that I don't think he deserves. I think he was an alright, I think he was a decent striker at United, and I think if they'd paid 50 mil instead of the 70, 80 that they did, I don't think anyone would say anything about it.
I don't mean this to be awful. This is going to sound disrespectful. I think he found his place or his level at Everton.
I agree.
I think his place was probably a bit higher than Everton, but I think United was probably too high. I think Everton was probably a bit too low. I don't think there's a spot in the Premier League that's kind of right for him in between those, because I think it goes Everton then United. But
that's what I'm saying. So Everton's really ceiling then.
I think going abroad's probably the right thing for him at this point now.
He's one of those lucky players for me that gets by on his physicality. I think he's not got a great touch. I think he's not the greatest footballer. I don't think he's got a football brain as well, from what I've seen. I just think he's got that physicality where he can, shoulder barge people off the ball and barge his way through. And I think, to be honest, to a lesser degree, Pogba's very similar. And I don't mean similar to Lukaku in ability, because Pogba's got more ability than Lukaku, obviously.
Yeah, Pogba
He uses his physicality. Yeah, he uses his physicality though, Pogba, to get himself out of a lot of situations.
I was listening to TalkSport last night, and they made a good point. When you think of United's starting 11, and then you think of the sort of players that aren't starting for the other top 6 teams, like, Cancelo isn't starting, Joe Gomez isn't starting at Liverpool, Angelino, Emerson at Chelsea isn't really starting. Kante hasn't started a lot this season, although I think that might be due to injury a bit. Foden doesn't start. Even Jesus hasn't, he started a couple of games, but Aguero's still quite obviously our number one. Giroud, Bernardo hasn't started a lot this season. All of them walk into that United team. Who starts in United's starting 11? Who would start in a team with the benches of the top 6? You have De Gea, you have probably Maguire, you have Pogba will start, and probably Dan James on form alone.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka,
that's it.
maybe.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
I'd say Cancelo probably. Or I'd say that's around 50-50, Cancelo and Wan-Bissaka.
Over Wan-Bissaka?
I'd say Cancelo's better offensively and Wan-Bissaka's better defensively. But I think United shouldn't be the sort of... I think the problem is United shouldn't be the sort of team, given what United are, as obviously at the moment they're shit. But they shouldn't, as a club, they shouldn't be really. They shouldn't be the sort of team that has a fullback making that many tackles. That's the sort of thing you see from a lower to, a relegation to mid-table sort of team. Those sort of tackle numbers, because they're defending for 90 minutes of the game. You shouldn't be seeing that at what should be a top 6 club.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do then, Ryan, is I'm going to move us on, because we've talked enough about Manchester United, and honestly, it makes me a little bit physically sick when I start talking about them. So I'm gonna I'm joking, but I'm gonna move on. Let's take a look at the star players then for this week, and I've just made a little note on my pad here, players to watch. So I want you to just have a look at the fixtures now, and just come up with the name of the player you think is going to be the star performer this weekend, and we'll just see how accurate we were come the start of the week. So I'm going to go to you, Martin. Who do you think is going to be the standout performer this weekend based on those fixtures?
I'm going to put myself out on a limb here. Phil Foden. I'm going to say starting, and he's going to be the star guy this week.
Interesting, Phil Foden. Okay, and Ryan, who do you fancy?
I'm going to go, because of my prediction, I think it could, this isn't my prediction, one of them could be Lundstrom at Sheffield United. I think he could probably get either an assist or the goal in a Sheffield win. But I'm going to go with Callum Wilson getting in the Arsenal-Bournemouth game, as I've obviously gone for a Bournemouth win. Okay. So I'll go with Callum Wilson.
Callum Wilson, okay, interesting. So I'm just looking at the fixtures now, and I'm going to, because I've been such a sort of advocate of Watford's revival this week, I think Watford are going to come back to form. I'm going to go with, and I don't know if he's available, and he probably won't be available now I've said it, but I fancy Deulofeu at Watford to be the standout man this weekend, if he's fit, because he so often isn't fit He's always in and out of the team. But
I think he's fit.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be the big performer. I think he's going to sort of get Watford back on track, and I can actually see him popping in a couple of goals. I think he might get both of those goals.
He's fit.
Yeah, so that's my standout man. Okay then, guys. So thank you very much for your predictions this week. Really appreciate you both coming on, and thank you to everyone for watching. Enjoy the weekend's games. Take care.